While I was on vacation, my family sold my house for $389,500 to cover my sister's $226,800 debt. They thought they solved everything, but I had different plans. My name is Ethan. I'm a 29-year-old real estate agent who thrives on color-coded calendars and perfectly staged open houses. As the oldest child, I'm the automatic problem fixer, driving around with toolkits in my trunk and extra contracts in my glove compartment. If something leaks, cracks, spills, or cries, it somehow becomes my responsibility. I wasn't the golden child. That was my younger sister, Ava, the storyteller, the dramatic spark, the fire alarm. I was the fire extinguisher. People assume being an agent means marble countertops and easy commission checks. It's not. It's 4:45 a.m. Appraisals, foundation issues, and clients who fall in love with the wrong home. Still, I liked it. I love placing keys in someone's hand and saying, "Welcome home," probably because home was something I always wanted for myself, something no one could drag me away from once I built it. The night before my trip, I stood in the living room with my bags by the door and a travel pillow wrapped around my neck like a ridiculous life preserver. My Airbnb guests had just left. The cleaners finished, and I wandered room to room like I always did. Count the windows. Check every lock. Inhale the lemon fresh cleaner. The backyard string lights clicked on, tiny gold dots floating over the dark grass. Felt like a life I built. "Text me when you land," Mom had said sharply on the phone. "And don't post too much. People get jealous seeing me on a plane for 9.5 hours. "Mom," I sighed. Even without seeing her face, I could picture her tight smile. "Just be careful." "I will. And if you talk to the bank, ask about extending." "Mom," I cut in gently. "I'm leaving at 4:30 a.m. We'll talk later." Pause. Then her voice softened. "Have fun, sweetheart." "I will." The next morning, I flew to Kauai, my first real vacation in 5 years. No clients, no showings. No, "Can you come check this leak?" My phone stayed locked in airplane mode. I read on the beach. I fell asleep to waves and woke early enough to see the sand shift from gray to honey. A bartender taught me how to break down a pineapple. A kid asked if I was famous because I wore sunglasses and walked fast. I laughed more in 6 days than I had in the previous 6 months. On day 8, I finally turned on my phone at breakfast expecting a couple texts about mail. Instead, the notifications stacked like a collapsing Jenga tower. Mom, 16 missed calls. Dad, 11. Ava, 6. A message preview from Dad. Important update on the house. Call ASAP. My heart pounded. The papaya slipped off my fork. A server refilled my coffee. "Everything all right?" I nodded too quickly. I didn't call. I scrolled. Each text made my breathing tighter, my stomach colder. Finally, I hit call. Mom answered before the first ring even finished. "No, hello? Where in Kauai are you?" she asked breathlessly, almost excited. "Why? We did something for you." "What did you do?" "Well," she said brightly, "your house had a great offer, so it's sold." My fork clattered against my plate. "What?" "You're welcome," she chirped. "You'll understand once you hear the numbers." I opened and closed my mouth. At the next table, a little boy giggled at something his father said. The simple, safe sound made my eyes sting. Mom kept talking. "Don't be so dramatic, Ethan. It's done. Come home." I set the phone down and stared at the waves. Crash, pull back, crash again. Back home, in the house I built piece by piece, something had shifted without me. A notification from Ava flashed. One sentence. A match dropped into gasoline. Finally leveled the playing field. "You can crash on my couch if you need." I didn't reply. I finished my coffee. I booked the earliest flight. I packed with shaking hands. While I stuffed clothes into my suitcase, Dad sent his last text of the morning. "It's tough love, son, but this is family. You'll thank us." I said nothing, but I smiled just a little as Kauai sunlight glinted off my sink, because the house they sold wasn't what they thought. Ava and I grew up in a sagging 4-bedroom ranch that creaked whenever the wind changed direction. Mom kept a rainy day jar on top of the fridge. She also kept a mental scoreboard, and only one person was allowed to win. Ethan got straight A's. Good. Expected. Ava got a C. Sweetie, that's amazing. So proud. When I got my license, I drove Ava everywhere: SAT prep, nail appointments, parties. I'd sit in the car with a drive-through soda while she danced under fairy lights and came back smelling like a department store perfume aisle. If I wanted gas money, Dad said, invest in yourself. If Ava wanted a new phone, Mom said, she needs to stay connected. At 20, I became assistant to an agent named Mark, who wore loafers with embroidered sailboats. He taught me how to spot roof issues from the driveway, listen for termites, and stay calm in unstable basements. At 22, I passed my license exam on the 3rd try and cried quietly in my car. Not sobbing, relief. My first year, I learned real math. 9 showings for 1 offer. 2 offers for 1 sale. 1 sale to survive the month. I wore the same gray suit until the fabric thinned. I bought clients coffee I couldn't afford. When an elderly couple hugged me and said, we couldn't have done this without you, I believed them. And that kept me going through microwaved pasta dinners. Ava considered being a stylist, influencer, consultant, whatever paid quickly and required enthusiasm. My parents called it figuring herself out. She figured out credit cards instead. By 27, she had a nice car, credit lines at 6 stores, and a habit of posting champagne shots with captions like hustle and heart. Her minimum payments multiplied like weeds. Money discussions always rotated around her. Just until next month. We can't let her fail. She's got potential. And always, Ethan will handle it. I was good with numbers. And numbers bought me the home they thought was mine. When the market dipped 3 years ago, a developer halted a project near the lake. Modern lines, wide oak floors, huge sliders. They panicked. I saw opportunity. My mentor's voice echoed. Own the asset, control the outcome. So I formed Cedar Grove Properties LLC with $500 capital and a dry operating agreement. Cedar Grove signed a master lease on the property with an option to buy. I paid first month, last month, and security deposit with my own money, then legally Airbnb'd it to traveling nurses and families between homes. Cash flow was steady, and the option meant I could buy later or sell the contract. My name was nowhere, not because I was hiding, but because I work in real estate. I've seen what family will do when they feel entitled to your things. I told my parents I was staying there. Easier than explaining beneficial interest and purchase options. The real documents stayed in a fireproof box. Digital copies in an encrypted folder called receipts. Not my name on the deed. Not my name on the mailbox, only CGP LLC on a small brass plate. Meanwhile, Ava's numbers exploded. Car payment, $671. Store cards, $18,500. $10,900, $13,400. Total balances, $1,980 due monthly. Personal loan, $31,000. And an entrepreneur course, financed at 21. 7% APR. Then the silent debts, unpaid rent, weekly lash appointments, dinner tabs slapped on cards she couldn't pay. She'd text, can you spot me $320? Business reason. I'll pay Friday. I saw her twice that week. She didn't pay either time, so I said no. She told Mom. Mom said I was cruel. 2 days before my vacation, Ava came to the property while I was replacing bulbs. This place is Suyu, she said, spinning in the kitchen. Neat, boring, very Ethan. It's a rental, I said. She smirked. Sure. Then, can you Venmo me $650? I'll send it Tuesday. No. God. You love hoarding money. When she left, I wrote in my notes app, no more loans. No more rescues. For days into my vacation, she posted a story. Cocktail in hand, caption big life moves. I ignored it. Meanwhile, my parents did what they always do during a crisis. They handled it. Ava's debt had reached $226,800. I'd see the exact number later. At the time, Mom just said, "You'll understand when you hear the figures." According to screenshots later sent in the family group chat, this is how it went. Mom, Dad, and Ava met a cash buyer at a diner. Mom printed a Zillow screenshot of my property like a sacrificial offering. The buyer, shaved head, polo shirt, offered to wire money within 18 hours if they signed a quick deed and seller affidavit. He said he'd cover unpaid taxes. There were none. "Can we do it without Ethan?" Mom asked. "Does he own it?" The buyer said. "It's his house," Mom insisted. Ava asked about a finder's fee if she helped him buy a second home. When I later read that line, I set my phone down and walked the hallway twice so I wouldn't throw it. The buyer printed a bargain bin deed template and slid it across the table on top of a mustard stain. Mom wrote my name in shaky block letters. Dad witnessed. Ava made a boomerang saying "sold collision." The wire landed in their joint account the next afternoon. $389,500 minus a questionable service fee. They spent $226,800 clearing Ava's debt, paid off their car, set aside money for a family trip, saved a bit for me to recover. They thought they solved a problem. They didn't know. You can't sell what isn't yours. The actual owner was Cedar Grove Properties, LLC, and the signature wasn't mine. It wasn't anyone's. The buyer didn't buy a house. He bought a lawsuit. When I landed, I went straight to the property. A moving truck sat in the driveway. My mother stood with hands on hips, bossing around movers like she was a foreman, not someone who just committed 3 felonies. "There he is," she called. Sharp tone. She already decided I was wrong. "Miss what?" I asked, walking past her. The front door wedged open with a paint can. Smelled like Windex and new drywall. "Closing out," she said. "New owner wants to start renovation today." I spotted the new owner, same polo guy, taking pictures like an Instagram house flipper. He didn't know me. He didn't know what I knew. Ava walked out in a sweatshirt that said, "Blessed." She looked at me like I was a guest who arrived without wine. "How was Kauai, Ethan?" "We're not doing this outside," I said evenly. "Living room. Now." We sat. Mom crossed her ankles. Dad stayed standing, hands in pockets, expecting recognition. The buyer scrolled his phone. Mom launched in. "We made a hard decision, but family comes first." I inhaled slowly. "You sold a house that doesn't belong to you." Silence. Mom's smile twitched. "Don't be childish. It's yours. Everyone knows that." "No," I said. "It's owned by my LLC under a master lease with a purchase option. My name is nowhere. The deed you signed was nothing. Scribbles." The buyer froze mid-scroll. Ava snorted. "Oh my God, Ethan. Nobody cares about your little paperwork games." I looked at her. "Did you pay your debts with that wire?" Her jaw lifted. "Yes." "How much?" "I don't owe you that." "You do," I said softly. "If you used funds from a fraudulent sale." Dad stepped forward. "Watch your tone." I met his eyes. "No." He stared like I'd spoken another language. Mom tried again, sugary sweet. "We saved your credit. We got you out from under the mortgage." "There was no mortgage," I said. "There was an option. There were reservations you canceled like brunch plans." The buyer cleared his throat. "We can unwind." "You will unwind this," I said, turning to him. "Call your attorney before you record anything. If you cloud my title, I'll come for your ENO. I won't settle." His face flickered. He backed up. "This is a family issue," he muttered, slipping outside. Mom's eyes hardened. "We did what had to be done." Ava was drowning. Ava folded her arms. "I'm not apologizing for not wanting my life ruined." I steadied my hands on my knees. "I'm not asking for an apology. I'm setting boundaries." Dad scoffed. "Oh, therapy talk. Call it whatever you want," I said. "But listen closely." Everyone froze. The kind of freeze when people know truth is coming and they don't want it. This isn't revenge. It's closure. Mom laughed sharply. Closure? Don't be dramatic. I stood, legs steady. I already contacted the developer and title office. We're filing an affidavit of fraud and notice of interest. The buyer will return the wire. If he doesn't, we'll let a judge handle it. Using my name was forgery. Identity theft. Mom's voice shrank. Finished with what? Being your rainy day jar, I said. Being the one you drain and thank later. Ava rolled her eyes. You act like some saint. You hoard money and call it discipline. I call it paying rent, I said. I call it filing taxes. I call it not stealing. Her face flushed. We didn't. You did. Dad pointed at the door. Get out if you're talking like that. I almost smiled. I already did. You don't understand silence until you mute a family group chat that screamed for years. I muted, blocked Ava, put my parents on deliver quietly, then drove to my office. My paralegal friend Shayla met me with a legal pad. Walk me through it. Dates, amounts, everything. I laid it all out. The buyer's contract looked like it was edited in MS Paint. The bank statement showed $389,500 entering my parents' account, then exploding into 6 different payments. We drew arrows until the page looked like a subway map. That afternoon, we filed a notice of fraud, cease and desist to buyer, formal letter to my parents. No threats, no drama, boring wins in real estate. The buyer folded first. He called that night. We just wanted to help them, he said shakily. No, I said. You wanted to flip a title. My attorney says I should wire it back. Do that, I said. And we forget this. He did. 2 days later, the recorder rejected the deed. The county marked the parcel as an attempted scam. The developer emailed one word: handled. I slept 7 straight hours for the first time in weeks. My parents fought harder. Mom left 3 voicemails: guilt, anger, threats. Ava posted a hair flip boomerang. Haters gonna hate nail polish sparkles. Someone DM'd it to me. Your sister okay? I typed 5 drafts. Settled on. She's fine. Dad showed up at my office. My receptionist blocked him gently. Sir, we've been advised there's a fraud matter. Please put anything in writing. He left stunned. That weekend, I sat on the floor of the empty living room. String lights hummed. I pictured the couch, the table, the plant I'd kill in 6 months. I could buy it. Financing was ready. But my heart whispered, not yet. Monday. Mom texted a long paragraph about family and how I owed a conversation. I replied, everything you need is in the letter. 2 hours later, we were scared. I stared at the words until they blurred. I typed, deleted, typed again. Finally, I know. For 5 weeks, messages came in waves, 18 in 1 day, none for 3 days, then 9 in 2 hours. My cousin sent a screenshot of the family chat where Ava called me a landlord leech, and Mom wrote, Ethan lets strangers stay in his home while his sister suffocates. Aunt Linda said, he has so much, he could give a little. I did not defend myself. I did not send proof. I watered my plant. I answered clients. I showed an apartment to a night shift nurse who cried seeing the sunrise view. I handed her the keys. Welcome home. That felt like inhaling fresh oxygen. Then Dad called one afternoon. Dinner at 6:15. Be here. Not a question. An order. I went not to fix anything but to end things. The table looked like a magazine spread. Chicken. Fresh flowers. Polished plates. Ava sat scrolling like royalty. Mom smiled, brittle. Dad poured water like it was whiskey. No small talk. Mom went straight in. We've come up with a plan. Of course they had. Ava's rent is too high. She can't move because of her lease. So we need you both to. Stop, I said. Her eyes sharpened. Excuse me? There is no plan. Not involving me. Dad slammed his hand on the table. The plates jumped. You watch your mouth in my house. I kept my voice calm, the way I do with clients about to ruin a deal. I am an adult, and I am not funding Ava's life. I am not signing. I am not co-signing. I am not selling. I am not relocating anyone into my properties. I am not showing up to meetings where you corner me 3-1 and call it love. Ava snapped. So you're letting me drown? You're not drowning, I said. You're in a pool you can't afford. Yelling at the lifeguard. Mom gasped. How dare you? Easily, I said, because I tried being silent. I tried helping. I tried giving, and it just dragged me deeper. Dad growled. You're ungrateful. For what? I asked. For driving her for years? For being told to be the bigger person? For the house you tried to sell but didn't own? Mom's eyes blazed. We were saving you. You weren't saving me, I said. You were erasing me. Silence. The clock ticked loudly. I stood. I'll always answer in a true emergency. But I'm not your emergency fund. Not anymore. Ava hissed. You're just walking away? Yes, I said. From this. I left. Outside, the air felt like cool water. My phone buzzed non-stop. 2 calls. 3. 14. 22. 34. I flipped it over and drove home. I slept. Morning was quiet. Coffee. Shower. Shoes by the door. Then a message at 8:11 a.m. from Mom. I don't recognize you. I set the phone down and smiled. Me neither, I said aloud, taking a sip. After 3 months, the noise faded. Mom sent articles about forgiveness. I didn't reply. Our conversations shrank to one line. I love you. I'm not financing you. Dad stayed quiet. When he asked about house prices, I replied the way I would to any client. Ava rebranded as an accountability coach, cut up a card on camera, and texted, Are we good? I wrote, We're adults. I exercised my option and bought the property, not out of spite but for peace. 1 chair, 1 lamp, 1 rule, nothing I apologize for. Sometimes I sit under the string lights thinking, this is mine, not the walls, the calm. People want control. I want boundaries, charity over lashes, holiday cards over confrontations. No dinners, no waived inspections. Mom called once. No panic inside me. Love stays. The price changes. For years, the bill had my name whether I ordered anything or not. I finally put the pen down. One day, a teacher buying her first home hugged me and sobbed. I never thought I'd get here. I know, I said. That night, I ate alone. My phone flipped upside down, listening to the yard buzz. Morning again. Coffee. Shower. Shoes. Mom's voicemail. Lasagna on her steps. No talk. I didn't go. I bought a small bench in the park. Simple. My closure isn't given. It's chosen, like deciding who lives next door. I'm Ethan. I work hard. I love my family. I don't pay their bills. If that makes me the villain, fine. I have a life to live.